Are you ready?
I am.
He's ready. Ooh, that's loud. Is that loud, kids? Out there? John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, start looking left. You got to park in the street. Figured that out.
I did.
All right. We're here today. Nano Sciucco, guitar player. I've been hearing your name for years. I feel like I've met you. We
have met a few times.
Yeah,
we've met a few times. Yeah,
we're gonna make it official now.
Yeah, we'll make it official. I'll as we go through the timeline, I'll remind you as to when we met.
Yeah, exactly,
absolutely.
exactly.
So, but I'm very excited to do it. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I've heard your name many times around, and I'm hoping that today it will put the pieces together. I'll be like, okay, now it makes sense. Because who was just talking about you? Well, Evan was. It was somebody else. Like, your name keeps coming up. So
I think Jeff Presh, because I watched that one as well.
Yep.
And I know Jeff Brown, drummer. You know, we were roommates, so we were really close. So.
Right. So that makes sense.
And ever since I've been watching your podcast, I've been excited.
Oh, cool.
About doing it because of exactly what you just said, the pieces. And I'll watch your podcast and to see a musician. I'm like, I met that guy once, and then. Oh, wait a minute! I really played with this person or that. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
So we're trying to do, get it all together. Cool.
So, how do you like to start?
Well, I don't know. You want to tell us what you're doing now of any note or renown that we, so people get an idea of.
So and then we'll go back to the beginning. So right now, I am playing guitar in a Bon Jovi tribute band.
Hey. You have a talk box.
I do have a talk box. Yeah, the band's called Raise Your Hands, and get to do all the fun Richie Sambora stuff. Yeah, the talk box.
Is it a wig gig?
It's a wig gig.
Hey.
It's a wig gig for me anyway. Yeah, no, I don't go out like this. Yeah, it is a wig gig, and not for everybody in the band, but
which means it pays. Wig gig, well, whatever. Back in the day.
You're right. The band. The band, we're definitely trying to go after, the look, the show, constantly trying to perfect the music. So we're having a great time.
That's cool. Were you a Bon Jovi fan before?
A little. Yeah. Not hugely, but I've always liked them.
But you enough that you said yes.
Yeah. I sometimes, and we'll get into this a little too, I think I relate more to Richie's guitar playing.
Sure.
So, which brings me to the other. This is my second tribute. The other one, another wig tribute, Southern Comfort Band, which did Southern rock, like all the classic Southern rock, Leonard Skinner, and we still play not as often. It's one of those things where we're all such good friends.
Yeah.
We didn't really disband, and we still get a call so it seems like once or twice a year, someone's giving us a ring to put it back together. And do it. So, I tell people when you really get into the details, Richie Sambora's playing isn't really that much different than a lot of those Southern rock guys.
Is that right?
Well, in a way that it's like it's blues rocker. You need some chops, and it's blues based, so it's not like it was this huge, completely different style that I maybe don't have my head wrapped around. So it's like this is similar. So when I was asked to do the Bon Jovi tribute, I thinking about Richie's playing, I'm like, I think I can wrap my head around that. I can do that job, do it justice.
Well, I guess we'll find out what kind of player you are. I would imagine primarily a rock blues.
I am.
Yeah, so there you go.
I am. So
it's not like
I'm doing those two with the Bon Jovi band being the busier one.
Who's Tico Torres in that band?
His name is Rob Del Pomo.
Okay.
Sorry, Rob. West Haven, somewhere around there. I think he's from that. He's from down that area. Great drummer.
Hey, that's cool.
So I'm doing that. I play acoustic duo with a guy named Jeff Karen.
Okay.
And we were in a trio together back in the mid '90s. I'll get to that afterwards. But we sort of took a hiatus, and kids going through college, all that stuff, and so now he's back out. So I'm doing that. I still record. So I had this home studio, which I from watching Jeff Presh and Evan mentioned it twice. It's just this home, studio. To me, like I think about it sometimes, and I say that was never that special. But I opened it in like 2000-ish, and I've had a lot of things come in and out. But it was only about 5 or 6 years, right in Cromwell, in the basement of my house. But it was only 5 or 6 years, and then I kind of said, this is my kids are starting to
Pro Tools.
I was always a poor man's Pro Tools. I was always a Cubase user.
Sure.
So and I only did that for a few years, and then said I don't really want strangers coming in and out of my house anymore. My kids are small, and so but I kept it going, and so I still do some projects.
Cool.
I've been fortunate enough to do some guitar, not play, but engineer some guitar tracks for Autograph and House of Lords with Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
Bell. So it's been great.
Hey, that's cool.
It is, and I knew him way back, very little, but only as an acquaintance. And then as we reconnected later, part of me always said, like, this guy has recorded everywhere.
Yeah.
Why? But it's a comfort zone.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure you've done plenty of recordings, so it's when you're comfortable.
Yeah.
As long as your equipment's decent enough.
And it's basically his town or one town over, whatever.
Right. So there's those things, and then another guy, again, that goes back to the hard rock days of the late 80s, when I was in an original band for a very short period of time. This bass player named Cece, he goes by Cece Garrow, and I do some original stuff with him, which that I get to play as well.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then a lot of my attention is on my two kids who are very musical.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm not just as a father, but just as musical. So I have an 18-year-old daughter that just started in September, her first year at Salve Regina.
Oh, wow.
She went there. It's a great story. She went there.
Where is that?
Newport,
okay.
Rhode Island. So she went with the intention of studying pharmacy. And because she was good at it, she was good, but very musical person all through high school. And second day of classes, she calls my wife and I, and very determined, with this tone, like, oh, so this is happening.
Oh boy,
I'm out of pharmacy and I'm going into music education
in 2 days.
2 days.
Wow.
So we're like, but
whatever happened? Did you ever find out the actual?
Well, no, we knew it's something she had been thinking about. She just kind of kept to herself, because she finished off her senior year. She's doing all the choirs and the musical, and she was all state. For voice, and she was the lead in her last year of high school.
So was it that she? Well, you have to ask her.
Sure.
Was it she hated pharmacy within 2 days, or she loved music in 2? How did that boom in 2 days go?
I don't know.
And yes,
I don't know for sure. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't know for sure. I don't know the details, but just in talking to her, I think she'd been thinking about it.
Yeah.
And saying, I think I need to keep music in my life, and. I think she probably said, even before she got there, I'm going to get to those pharmacy classes and see if this works. And if it doesn't work,
I'll give it a solid 3 hours or whatever.
Exactly. So that's her story right now. My son is a drummer.
Oh, that's cool.
And if you can't brag about your kids, who can you brag about? So he's a great drummer. So,
that's cool. How old is he?
He's 21. Wow. So he's in his last year of school up at UMass Amherst.
Oh, nice.
And he's got a band called the Baxbys, and they're doing well. It's like they're kind of right where they should be for college kids. They're starting to do those little theaters and getting known, and they put out one EP, and then they put out another EP, and so my attention is so right now. When you ask what I'm doing now, it's those bands, and I really love going down the weekends, or we're gonna go see him play, as long as he's playing in a place that's friendly enough for us to be there, not just a bunch of college kids. Or my daughter, we've already been down to Salve to watch her sing and so forth.
That's cool.
And my wife, she has a background in piano when she was a kid. Complete opposite of me. She's a reader completely. You pull the music out and she doesn't know how to play.
Oh wow!
So and I'm the opposite. But she's singing.
That's like the old thing. How do you get? What's the joke? How do you get a guitar player to stop playing? Put music in front.
Put music in front of him.
I don't know.
That sums me up pretty well.
Whatever.
That sums me up pretty. So she is in 2 adult choirs.
Oh, okay.
So there's just music all over the house.
Sure.
She's she does one in West Hartford called Rock Voices, and one in I think they rehearse here in Portland, Middletown, called the it's from the hospital, Middlesex Hospital Vocal Cords.
Yeah, that's cool.
Called. So that's
exciting.
That's now.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what I'm doing, and I'm very happy doing it, and
Yeah.
So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Music everywhere.
It is. The house is pretty, I have the the recording room and the music room. But then there's always, there's a guitar on the couch upstairs, and there's a piano, we're here, and it just seems like there's always something going on.
That's okay. That's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I think, right? I mean, you're gonna do it.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
It's killer.
So yeah, that's today.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
did a lot of playing back in the day. What you want to start at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Let's go all the way to the end. So I grew up in Windsor, Connecticut.
Yep.
And I'm not ashamed to say, born in '70s. I'm 52.
Sure.
So so those years from 70 to 80s, that's the toddler, growing up years.
Me too.
So we're in Windsor. I was in Windsor, and my parents were Italian immigrants. They came over in 1959.
Wow.
And growing up, my father played the accordion, self-taught as well.
I like accordion.
He played all the Italian favorites, and so he loved playing music. And Italian families, this is pretty common with a lot of Italian families, but they also love to entertain.
Yep.
And hospitality is a big thing.
Sure.
So when we had either family parties or holidays, there's a bunch of people, and it's just loud. I remember my friends kind of going, "I can't believe how loud your house is." But it's just loud, and my father's playing, and there's all these Italian people singing about it.
Sure.
And so I'm sure that contributed, to my upbringing.
You got to play something louder than accordion to be heard.
So between, while I was a kid growing up, so I've got that going on. We have an organ in the basement, a Thomas organ, not a Hammond or anything. One of those 70s. Sure. Everything lights up, in the 70s basement with a console, big console thing, record player.
Love it.
I think the rug was orange shag. It probably was.
It was.
With paneling.
It was.
Right. Yeah. Of course it was. Paneling and all that stuff. My mother didn't play an instrument, but she liked music. And I thought about this recently. My father gravitated towards very happy music all the time. My mother liked that just as much, but she also liked a lot of dramatic stuff, post-war music and sort of opera-ish kind of way. So, so I think I was getting a little bit of both. At the same time, I have sisters. One's 7 years older, and the other one's 10 years older.
Yeah.
Which, if anybody has that, it's sort of like having more than one mother.
Yeah, my sister's 9 years older.
So, exactly. So, in the basement, we've got all these 45s, and it's the Jackson 5 and Captain and Tennille and whatever.
Bobby Sherman.
Sure. I don't remember all of them, but these are these things. This just popped up when I was talking to my sisters about doing this podcast, and they said, "Do you know where those 45s came from?" I said, "No." And they're like, "Well, Mom and Dad they had their Italian stuff. They had some 78s, 80 tracks, but it wasn't normal for them to go out and buy us American records. And we're these two little girls like, hey." So my parents were very accomplished tailor dressmakers. That's what they did for business. And Brad Davis was one of their customers.
Oh.
From WDRC.
So some things fell off the truck.
No, I think it was legit. My father asked him and said, "Hey, my daughter's here." But my father probably with a thick accent, and they're getting Brad's probably like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll help you out." And he gave him this big box of who knows what they were, seconds or or dupes. Yep. So I didn't know that till this week that's how those 45s got there. So now I'm a kid, and this music's starting to come in, and the two LPs that I was probably just old enough to put them on there and play was Steve Miller, "Fly Like an Eagle." Over and over again.
Sure.
And Jesus Christ Superstar.
Amen.
Huge.
I know every
word.
Would you like to sing the
entire? You want to start?
I will
start doing.
Yep.
We can do that. Sure.
Yep.
We'll cut out some time later in this to break into song.
That's fine. Yep.
So that was a huge.
No, wait. We need a more permanent solution to our problem. Yeah.
Yeah, we can keep going. Yeah. So loved all it. So that's those years, and then. I want to say it's third grade. I think it was third where you get the instrument, go pick an instrument. And I picked a trumpet for who knows why, and started playing the trumpet in grade school. And I liked it. I didn't love it, but I was pretty good at it. I'm like, this is kind of fun. and prior to that, it was just noodling on the organ.
Yeah.
My sister says, yeah, we used to kind of pick you up and you actually could,
Yeah.
Twinkle, Twinkle and Farrah Jacques and do all that stuff with one finger.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. So then it was the trumpet. And then, I do that. And so you do that for like third grade, fourth, whatever it is. And now you're kind of getting to middle school.
Yeah.
Creeping up on middle school. My cousin had a guitar collecting dust. I remember seeing it every time we went over there. And he gave it to me. And it was like a department store brand thing.
Yeah, sure.
Probably bought somewhere. My parents get it fixed up and said, sure, we'll sign you up for some lessons. And I'm like, good. I think I want to be able to play an instrument that, that can play the songs that I'm listening to.
Yeah,
That's the one, you remember that thing when you were a kid? It's like, well, if you're playing the trumpet and you like Steve Miller.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, I kind of want to be right. So I'm like, okay. And I remember the first, the first maybe half a year of lessons or even more. It was a chore. I didn't love
Where did you go?
Lessons. Yeah, I'm going to get into that.
Oh, okay.
So Windsor Music, which was this little store in Windsor towards the center. And, man, the history, if those walls could talk, because, and Windsor had a big music thing happening now before my time, but it seemed to linger and it all kind of hubbed around that.
Yep.
Similar to when you guys would talk about creative drums,
Yeah.
So Windsor Music, because Al Anderson was from Windsor.
Sure.
So the Wild Weeds,
Yep.
the Leapacks were all from Windsor, which goes to, the Al Sr. was the University of Hartford.
Yep.
So, like I went to school with some of his grandkids.
Wow. Yeah.
So between that and then, of course, Al getting into NRBQ and then Street Temperature, I believe Cody was from Windsor.
Okay.
I know one or two of those guys. So Windsor was like this thing, and you go to Windsor Music, and it wouldn't be odd for me to walk in a lesson and Al's there just talking to the owner, and of course I'm like probably 12. It didn't have an impact on me at all. Like I didn't. It's like, oh, that guy in that band that my sisters talk about. I have no idea, like really what's going on. I kind of wish I did at the time, Wow. But so Windsor was fun. So I get to middle school or seventh grade, and the band director, another drummer, percussionist, Frank Hooper, and I know he was a student of Al Leapacks, and I think he was even a colleague. I think he taught some classes there, but don't think I realized it at the time. But I think he was sort of a heavyweight around here. Like he was well known, and he played the Ice Capades every year. And I think in that circle, he was one of the guys. And he was so animated and energetic that I remember my first band class, 7th grade.
Whoa.
Like I remember it very clearly.
Hey.
I was excited to get
your
there.
daughter remembers her first pharmacy class.
Yes, she does.
So,
right. Yeah. Probably not a great memory, but well, maybe it was. Maybe after that when she called us and said, I'm out of here. So I get to this class and, I'm starting to discover rock. I'm leaning towards rock. I think, because my sisters they're coming home with Doors albums and Van Halen, and, I'm listening to the guitar, and I'm like, and I think I was infatuated with rock because of the whole vibe, and it was like the cool thing. And look at the fashion and the long hair and everything's just kind of got this like slinky. And I'm like, oh, I like this stuff. And, if you're going to be cool, you got to listen to rock, right? Because, how separated things were back in those years. You were a rock guy, you were a disco guy, you were this guy, you were that. So I was really liking the rock. And I get into this band class with my trumpet, and Hooper was just loud, boisterous, but like teddy bear, like friendly. Everyone just loved the guy.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he was trying to impress the 7th graders with something. I don't remember what he did, but he calls in this drummer who I remember through school. He's a year older, David Brutz, who is now a band director over at East Catholic. He's been there since the mid 2000s. But
that's cool.
He calls Dave Brutz, get on the drum kit. And Dave plays this like 2/4 beat with like 16ths and well. And it's the first time I'm hearing like somebody my age do this, like 16th, like, and I'm like playing something that sounds kind of rockish to me.
Yeah.
And I just remember being very mesmerized by that. I'm like, oh, okay,
this is the thing.
This can happen, and So, and then, you know, other friends are playing guitar, and then you start to meet this 8th grader who can start to play Eruption or this or Stairway to Heaven. And you're like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. So all that's going on, and I'm loving it. Then summer, 7th grade, one of my sisters, again, they keep popping up, right? She's at a Record Express. She enters me into a contest.
Uh-oh.
And the winner gets to sit down with the Southern rock band Blackfoot and meet Ricky Medlock. And you get this like mid-level Ibanez guitar.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, honestly, no idea who Blackfoot was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then, you know, later when someone's like Highway Song, Train, like, oh yeah, I know those two songs from listening to the radio, but I really didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning this contest. So this is the summer because my family's on vacation in Lake George, New York. As I win, my sister was a little older, so she didn't come with us. She was too cool for that. Yeah. But she calls and she's like, "You guys got to come back early. He's going to sit down with this thing." And I'm like, "Okay." So this is a big deal when you're like, at that age, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And sort of embarrassingly and funny at the same time, I remember driving back, listening to CCC the whole time. And they're just like, Nano Sciucco is coming back from Lake George to sit down with Ricky Medlock. Hey. And I'm like 13 years old. I don't even know how to play barely, But I get home, call one of my friends who has older brothers. And I'm like, help me now because this thing's tomorrow. And he's like, get your hands on Blackfoot Strikes. The album that had like most of the hits. I'm like, okay. And I either borrowed it, they had it, or I ran out and got it. I don't remember, but I remember just ingesting that thing all night. And the next day, and here's you're sitting down with this band, and this guy's from.
Where did this take place?
So that was at the Record Express in West Hartford Center. So a bunch of people are there, all these Blackfoot fans, and he's there and all this stuff, and he knew what he was dealing with, the kid. So he handled it great, like really gracefully, and he's.
And what was it? Were you supposed to interview them or just?
He was it was supposed to be like Ricky's going to teach you some.
Oh, okay.
So he's teaching me how to play Highway Song, and my hands are shaking because I'm so nervous, and it was just like I was.
And they're on the radio going, "Nano Sciucco's learning."
And then he's like, he's messing with me like a little kid. He's like playing and making all the rock faces, and people are kind of chuckling. But I'm watching this guy just shred this guitar in front of me, and then I think after that, I'd already been somewhat familiar with Skinner, but then it was like Blackfoot, Outlaws, Tucker.
Oh,
I just dove into Southern rock. So that's kind of what brings me, to the Southern comfort thing later.
So that's your thing.
Always loved it. Well,
that's cool.
The thing was like rock. I mean, even when high school and the other bands was a little bit more hair metalish, but I was the guy that would do that. But then I'd still spend an hour picking apart some Skinner tune. I just love that Southern rock feel. And so that happens. And then I get to high school, and there's just, I'm sure you went through this, just the high school bands, this guy, and you play the dance and you play the party and you play this.
All that stuff.
And then the other friends that are playing guitar, we would get together, and I was fortunate to have these friends that had older brothers and sisters, so they would bring over like old 8 tracks. Yeah. And I remember one of them was like Santana Moonflower, which eventually became one of my like most inspirational albums.
Okay.
But, it was like, it wasn't just the stuff at that time, because now we're into the 80s, and I liked what was going on. Like you asked about Bon Jovi. I liked it. I'd watch MTV and be like, yeah, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
But then my friends and I were getting into the basement. We're digging deep into all the Zeppelin cuts, and we're digging deep into all the Santana and Allman Brothers and all these players. And so I was getting a little bit of that stuff that was probably a little before my time, by a few years, but my sisters were like, yeah, of course you got to like, and Frampton Comes Alive was a huge album for me as well.
Talkbox.
Yeah, just the whole there's just the sound of that album. There's just something about
it's a great record.
Before a note gets played, you just kind of you feel like you're in the room. You just hear this record. Just like aliveness about it. So
I agree.
So what else can I say about that stuff? And I think at that time my musical taste was just expanding like crazy.
Yeah.
I really didn't mind almost anything. All still within rock.
Yeah.
But funny, today when I say it today, it sounds narrow because it's rock. But back then, if you remember, it was very genre specific.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of liked it all.
Yeah.
I even liked some English pop stuff. But I loved all the dark, Deep Purple and Sabbath and Dio and Maiden. I loved all that. But I also liked, perfectly fine with some of the pop, pop stuff. So that carries me through most of high school, and then right out of high school, I'm like, okay, well, actually, no, let me back up a little bit. I was still off and on with guitar lessons, and this friend of mine from high school was taking lessons from Doug Blair from Run 21.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So
yeah, that's cool.
So then at the time, once in a while, these bands would play a Sunday. There was a place up in Enfield called the I-90s or 190s, and they would do Sunday shows. Okay. And Sundays, all ages could go. So here I am, and I go see Doug Blair, and I'm like, okay, now it's the first time up close.
A local rock star.
A local guy, like, what's with all the lights, and the guy's got his shirt off, and he's, and then, I don't know if you ever saw Run 21.
It was not quite.
Doug was into building guitars and all that, and he would go to like a toy store, and he would buy like toy guns, like ray guns. Oh yeah. And he would wire them in. So like just for an effect at the end of this amazing solo, all of a sudden he'd hit a button, you'd hear this like, it's like, so, and the show was just amazing.
That's what I hear.
So I'm like, all right. So I sign up for lessons with him, and I do that for about 6 months. And now I'm starting to hear about these local guys, and like, do you know the guy who plays guitar for Vice? I'm like, no. I'm like, you gotta see this guy. Do you know who Jay Johnson was? But no, I didn't know that Crier and this one, that, and that. And of course, Jimmy Bell's name comes up, and I'm like, I've never seen him. And they're like, okay. So all these people are like trying to like, here's what's going on. So I took some lessons with Doug, and then I also took some lessons with Jimmy Bell.
Okay.
And I have to say that I was a horrible student. So that's it.
Oh, great. That's cool.
They both did a great job. They both knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
I was too all over the place.
Yeah.
Too attention.
Yeah.
To really, I think I learned from them, but but I didn't really process it till later.
Yeah.
I think just being in the room and.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah. But I was a bad student. If they're listening.
Wow.
I do have to back up because my guitar lessons at Windsor Music. Frank Sentimento was his name, guitar teacher. This is a funny story. I'm taking lessons from him, and so another Frank Cook, guitar player from the Savage Brothers.
Yeah.
Frank Cook's taking lessons.
Okay.
And Frank's from Windsor Locks, and I'm from Windsor. And we knew a couple other players too. So we talked about this later in life, how funny this was. This teacher would, old school jazzer, would like sort of pit us against each other to be competitive.
Why not?
And it was hysterical because
my drum teacher did that.
Oh, did yeah? And you think he's getting on your case because what he's not telling you is that he's praising you to somebody else.
Yeah.
So he's going like, you're way behind in these chords. I got this kid from Windsor Locks. He's ripping these things apart. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, So totally. I'm sorry.
I manipulate children all the time.
Oh, you do it.
Yeah. Definitely.
I thought you were going to tell a story how it was done to you.
No, you. Well, that too, and that's where I learned it from. Yeah,
I manipulate children.
Yeah,
that's great. So Frank was good, and then me and Frank Cook, kind of a lot of Franks here, we would talk about Frank Sentimento, and one of the things he would do when he was just, shooting the breeze with you, he would have a new guitar hero every week. But the following week he'd lump that guy in, so it was kind of fun, like you'd forget. So you're talking to him, he'd be like, "Let me tell you something." It's always that like, "Let me tell you something." Yeah. George Benson's good, and Larry Carlton's great, and I know you like Jimmy Page, he's great too, but Al Di Meola, blow the doors off all of them. Next week, Al Di Meola's lumped in. Al Di Meola's good. This one's good, but let me tell you something. George Benson, blow them all away. You're like, okay.
Wow.
And so Frank Cook and I got a kick out of telling stories about that. But to move forward again, back to where I was, Frank and I eventually met, and we became really good friends. We're still to this day.
Yeah, that's
We're both in each other's like wedding parties, which my wedding you played at with me to the bar. Frank and I became really good friends, and that was very inspirational too, because I'm young and I want to get into a club band, and I'm going to see the Savage Brothers here and there, and any kind of underage thing I can, if they played like the Mount Carmel Italian Fest in Enfield, I'm going to see, and I'm like, wow, there's a guy my age, and he's just gigging like crazy, and this is awesome. So, I finally start playing out, and doing pretty well in some bands. and mostly cover stuff, and we're doing like Poison and Van Halen and stuff, and we were doing good, and we started hitting all these same clubs that all these rock bands are playing. Typically, we would open for a bigger band because we were still new kids, on the scene. So if it was a Run, I don't know if we actually opened for Run 21 ever. I don't think so, but any bands like that, like Vice or this, we would be the opener. And then after a few years, we started making a name in the newer bands, and we'd get some headlining. Although I don't know how much of the rock scene you did, but
yeah, not so much, but
the Infinity in Springfield and Bridges Cafe and
I remember
blah
Bridges.
blah blah blah.
Yep.
Yes, all those rock clubs, and that was going good. And then I tried my hand at working with an original band, which is with this guy, CC Garrett. Right? Why not? Because you're thinking in 20 or my early 20s, I guess that's the next step.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to keep this thing going, I got to do this, right? And it was pretty good. We didn't get that far, but it was very early 90s. And I think when you look back, you say, oh, that alternative scene was already there.
Yeah,
it's like, but you just didn't know it yet.
Yeah,
because we're still in the clubs thinking, no, this is still alive, right? It's like, no, it's not. This rock stuff is going out. So I kind of knew that about myself. I said, that's not really my thing. And
what, the alternative thing?
Yeah. Like I couldn't do that with conviction. Play really well. It wasn't. So I knew I'd be sort of faking it.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another story. So I think I hadn't been playing out that much, and Frank Cook somehow was involved, whether he told me or he just said, I knew that he to the bar was looking for a guitar player. Oh. And I'm like, oh man, here's an opportunity for me to play. Probably just play. I don't believe you were in the band at the time. So I want to say it's right. Well, the guy who got the gig was Tommy Whalen.
Okay.
So 90, 91. I don't know, were you?
Yeah. I was in the band. Yeah. I was there before him. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
I joined in 89.
Oh, okay. So you were there. So I didn't know. For some reason I thought you weren't there. But what do I know? So I talked to Cindy, who's the band leader at the time, and she
don't ever call her Cindy. That's why you didn't get the gig. Cynthia.
Cynthia. Maybe I don't.
Now you know.
I don't remember. I was like 21 years old.
I know. Okay.
And she sends out the cassettes because that's what you did back then. And
sure.
I think there was like an original, and it had like a swing feel to it.
Yep.
And the Sea of Love. I remember the Sea of Love was on there, and some other tunes. Yeah. And she does exactly what I'm going to send them to you. Then I'm going to call you in a week, and so call. How you doing? You ready? And I said, and I feel like I came recommended. Like Frank had probably put in the words. So So already, and I just thought about it, and I said, and it just kicked off a great conversation between her and I. I said,
oh boy,
I could come down there because let me tell you, I'm confident enough. I don't think I'm a great guitar player. I said, but I'm confident and proficient enough that I could convince you that I can play swing for about 3 to 5 minutes or however long the song lasts. I go, but the reality is, Cynthia, I'm not a
join the club.
I'm not a but I really wasn't, and I said, this is going to be a waste of your time when you start throwing me curveballs. Because
you'd be surprised.
No, I was really a rocker then. I mean, maybe even now I could maybe try, but even now, like you throw like a jazz chart or a swing chart in front of me, I have to work on it. I'll be honest with you. I got to work on it. Like it's like something that just doesn't spit off. So
nobody was a jazz player when I was in that band. Well, nobody. no guitar
well, I know
player
you know the history, but more. So she says,
that's only a piece of it.
She says, I'm so glad that you're being honest with me. And she goes, we've had so many people that are talking the talk, and this is before the internet. You can go check people out. They're talking the game on the phone from the Advocate ad or whatever you do, and she's like just wasting our time over and over again. And I said, I understand that. And we get into this good conversation about players, and she says, do you know Tommy Whalen? I said, actually, no, but I just saw him for the first time less than a week or two ago at a blues jam. Yeah, Jake's in Windsor Locks.
Yeah.
I know Ray Morant was there playing. So I remember chatting it up with Ray.
Yeah.
And I just gotten to know, Ray a little bit.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm willing to put money that he's your next guitar player. She goes, really? I said, well, I mean, everything that I'm telling you that I'm not, he is. Oh. I said, I think he's got that. Like, I know if we go 1 for 1 for a song and you say, we're going to play this, blues shuffle, it's like, oh, okay, all right, hold on, let me go work on it. I'll come back. And for that, I can, but I could tell he was the guy that it was natural for him. And he was just playing and he was singing like Eric Clapton. I'm like, this guy's great. And he ended up in the band for quite a long time. But that was just a good moment for me. And it kind of opened my eyes and taught me, like, make sure you're biting off what you can chew if you go to audition for a band. And, even later in life, when I was sort of running bands, the same thing. If a player came to audition for us and I'm younger, I'm like, listen, you're not,
you still think great. That? You still think you wouldn't have cut that gig?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
If you say so. Well, I mean, nobody, whatever. Nobody wasn't right. Nobody can. Well, that's fine. But nobody can play all those styles when they join the band.
No, but what it seemed like the band did a lot of was very outside of my thing.
Well, you would know.
I'm kind of a rock player, like when you see like a funk band and like the guitar player shreds.
Yeah,
I could do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I'm not.
Well, if you know, then you know.
It's.
I'm just saying, the jazz thing. Nobody knows how to play that when they join that band.
Yeah,
nobody does.
All right. Well,
but whatever.
You've had quite a run with them.
I didn't know how to play that stuff. That was the one thing I didn't know how to do.
You did play very well because I saw you play with 8 to the Bar at Harbor Park, and I remember going there with and it was like one of those days where they'd be like 4 bands. What was that? Bates Motel.
Were you there when a yacht smashed into the stage while we were playing? Were you there for that one? And we almost all fell in the. Yeah, that was cool.
No. This was a successful. Nobody hit the water or anything. Wow. So I just remember going there, and I went there because I was always tight with all the Savage brothers, and it was like, hey, and Michael Savage. Do you know Michael?
Oh yeah.
All right, so
I gotta get him. Yeah, I gotta get him.
Michael's a high energy dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, with that wide eyed, he's like, 3 inches from me, like, you're gonna stick around and see John Peckman, right? I'm like,
are you kidding?
No, I'm saying, I go, who? Yes, he was talking you up, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, I don't. Like, I'm kind of going like, I don't really know who's in the band, but no, you gotta see, you gotta see this guy play. I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's
I'm
cool.
like, okay. Every other word out of his mouth was John Peckman.
Wow. I did not know that.
I just remember him talking you up enough where I made a mental note and said, make sure I stick around before I leave to see this band. Wow. So you guys came on, and I was very impressed with your playing. I just remember within like 30 seconds, kind of like feeling that groove going, okay, I got it. I got what's going on here. This guy can lay it down nice. So
cool.
Hats off to you.
Hey. I was really something at one point.
You still are. And then you played my wedding too.
Oh, I'm something.
You played my wedding as well. So, because I hired 8 to the Bar. Which,
really? Where was it? I'm sorry that I don't remember. It's not you.
Oh, well, you guys played what, 2, 3 weddings?
Yeah, right. Well, no, yeah, and also I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on as I get older. People keep telling me stories. About
it was the AquaTurf, which I'm sure you never played there either.
Oh, I love the AquaTurf.
So it was at the AquaTurf. It was in '96, and Jeff Brown was at my wedding party.
Oh, okay. I probably remember.
He had come out and he started jamming because there was all these musicians there. We like basically jammed. I asked if was it okay if a bunch of
of course
I had to take over and jam it up. So it's post high school and I'm doing all that stuff and there's my 8 to the Bar story. And then I kind of take a hiatus, not a hiatus, but I'm like, all right, let me just kind of put down the electric for a while. And I just stumble on this opportunity to play in a 3-piece acoustic.
Cool.
And that eventually became Stone Stew. Jeff McKinney.
Okay.
Stone Stew. So Stone Stew. It's me and this guy, Jeff Karen, and Jeff McKinney were Stone Stew.
He just made the list now.
Yeah. So, and he ended up in a lot of projects that I did. Him and I were always really tight. So, 3-piece acoustic, and it was fun. We're doing a lot of happy hours. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. I don't, I'm not really missing the whole electric, rock thing. This is fun. Brings me to another contest. Okay, this is two major contests in my life. Here's another one, and I don't remember. I know that I didn't go looking for this.
Oh, I remember. Is this the pie eating contest? I remember that.
That's the one.
No, Can you imagine? No, it was the hot dogs. You ate.
It was the hot dogs. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's now. Okay.
Yeah.
Did that yesterday. So there's we're playing all this acoustic music, and Stone and even the singer they're much more versed in these names. Like, like I knew Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett, but these guys like knew the collection and they'd been to a concert or two. And I'm like,
wow.
So there was a local, Buffett was coming in, 95, and there was a local contest, and the winner gets to play Cheeseburger in Paradise on stage with Buffett.
Hey.
So I win this thing, and that was a total popularity contest, by the way. It really had little to do with my guitar playing.
Wow.
So kind of a surreal experience. So I get to get on stage at the Meadows to a sold out crowd.
Wow.
And play one song.
Wow.
And this was my takeaway that I like to share with musicians.
I'm ready.
Okay. Because aside from, was the roar of the crowd amazing? Yes. All the things that you would expect to be amazing were pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The one thing that literally crossed my mind while I'm playing this song is I'm thinking about all of the articles I would read about my heroes, be it the Van Halens or the whoever, over the years. And oftentimes you'd hear them say, I really miss playing smaller rooms, because the arenas, you don't have the intimacy. Yeah. And my reaction to that part was like, okay.
Yeah, be my guest.
Yeah, are you trying to be humble to come down to our level? Like, are you kidding me? And I literally was playing this song and saying, wow, the first row is there, and it's far away, and then you can see faces smiling at you, and then it just becomes faces and heads.
Yeah.
And I said, I can understand why doing this would you would miss the intimacy of a small room.
Sure.
I mean, why that crossed my mind in that 3 minutes, I don't know, but it literally crossed I thought about it. I was looking out, and I'm like, you don't.
Yeah, you're not going to connect in any real way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's Jimmy Buffett's problem. If we sum it up.
That's why I turned down every gig. Right, you did too, right? You turned them all down. That's why we don't.
Yeah.
Exactly. We can't have it.
Yeah, I need to feel as connected to people as I do now.
No, obviously, I mean,
the way you described it, of just blurry faces, that's how everybody is to me, no matter who they are. Like even you now,
all right.
Imagine.
That's an eye problem. That's because you're getting old.
Yeah.
So that's like mid 90s. I'm in my mid 20s.
Did you smash your guitar? I would have played Cheeseburger in Paradise.
No, because I got to keep the guitar, which was really cool.
Oh, you won another one?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So I got to keep that guitar.
Was he cool? Or was you just say, hey, thanks, kid?
Overly cool. Like
good.
Very cool. And very cool. And it was like very specific though. Like the road crews, like there's a big, duct tape X stand there.
You step outside
turn to your left. No, they would like stand there, turn to your left, shake his hand. Like everything was very rehearsed. And I got to play. He did try to stump me and it didn't work, which was kind of cool. The band started and then stopped in hopes that I would keep going.
Oh.
And, look.
So that thousands could laugh at you?
I wasn't that seasoned of a musician, but seasoned enough to go like, what's going on here? Like I kind of looked at them like, what's,
they were trying to.
Like what?
The Lucy.
Yes.
Pull the football away.
Exactly.
Have thousands of your hometown people laughing at you.
Yes. And I can remember the look on his face. He kind of shrugged like that didn't work.
Yeah.
He went like this to his band. He's like, okay. And then they started the song again. I played a solo and it was a lot of fun. And I had to wear a big foam cheeseburger, French fry hat.
Sure.
The crew was specifically like, do not throw that out into the audience. So I got the impression that they'd been doing this at all their stops and, probably losing these big foam.
You got head lice.
I guess so. Yeah,
exactly. From the last winter.
That's what I should have said. Did you spray this?
Yeah. I would have lit that thing on fire.
But that was fun. And that was just a good experience to do, just to be able to be on a stage once.
Sure.
And to do that.
Why
not? So I'm doing that. Actually a little bit before that, but I ended up being roommates with Jeff Brown, the drummer who you know really well. So we were roommates at that time as well. And that was, just to get to know a musician who's that into drumming. And I felt like I started in my mind becoming like the drums became a hobby of mine, even though I can't play them at all.
Yeah.
At all. I may sit down, I'm like, boom, chip on my someplace, but I was into it.
Yeah.
I know, I still think I know very little about drums, but I'm going to say probably from living with him, I know twice as much as most guitar players.
Hey, there you go.
I can actually talk like die-cast hoops and high
yeah.
tension lugs and heads. And it was helpful because I've had all these, wonderful musicians and drummers around me. And it was, Jeff and a bunch of others. I was able to call on them when my son started playing and like help me do this, help me do that. I bought my son his used kit out in Torrington, and Joe Mazza, drummer Joe Mazza.
Yeah.
Joe Mazza met me out there and looked at them. So he's like, these are good.
He just made the list.
Joe Mazza's fantastic. Fantastic. So, I'm with Jeff Brown, and I met my wife, and then I get married, and
I played your wedding.
You played my wedding, and then early 2000s, I'm just not doing much with full band. I was just playing with this guy, playing with that guy, kind of filling in, and I started playing with a duo called the Surf Monkeys.
Okay.
Al Diaz and the Surf Monkeys. And that was the first time I've played that much. That's the grind. That is like, we're playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, twice on.
So that was your 8 to the bar.
Oh, right yeah. And he taught me so much.
Hey, that's cool.
He taught me so much about, just.
You playing acoustic still?
I played acoustic, and then we had an electric set with backing tracks, which was kind of cool. But he taught me so much about the business, about keeping the equipment organized. I remember sort of like kind of half teasing him in the beginning, like, wow, you're pretty OCD about all your cables and your this and that. And he was very like, no. You got to understand something. Like, this isn't because I'm OCD. This is because, you have a problem on a gig. You need to be able to find it right away. Yeah. That's why my rack is detailed and everything's zip tied and blah, blah, because I can't spend time looking through spaghetti full of cables to find out what's going on.
Right.
Everything was just boom. And I'm like, oh, and from there, I kind of adopted a lot of that with my guitar gear. I always had the right case and the right this and the spare strings and the blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So he definitely taught me a lot. I think I got a little burnt, and I was ready to start playing with other players. So now comes, and I'll make it short, just a string of bands.
Oh boy!
I formed the Boogie Monsters. Stone was in that. I can't tell you how many players I've played with in and out of the Boogie Monsters. Then that goes to Girl Gone Bad, and then I played with Radio Giant. Meanwhile, I'm my collection of songs is so vast within all those party kind of like rock bands that if there was a fill-in, I got Kick calls me, Pandemonium calls me, Fusion calls, because it's like 80% of our set already. Come on, let's do these songs. So that's a lot of fun doing all that. Then I've got a more recent Southern Comfort story.
Oh boy!
So it's a good story. It's we had to do a show and Stone couldn't do it, and we were not big on subs, but I had been watching this guy. I saw him play with the Outlaws in the mid-90s. His name was Jeff Howell. Recently passed away.
You're kidding.
Jeff Howell?
Jeffrey Howell.
Bass player.
Yep.
He passed away.
Yep.
About a year or two. You know Jeff Howell.
It's a long story. I don't know him. I know of him. Go ahead.
Okay. This is interesting. Now you've got my curiosity. So I was kind of watching what he's doing and stuff, and he's playing with these bands up in New York. He's way up in that.
Yep.
I wish I remember where he lived.
Foghat.
He played with Foghat and Savoy Brown.
Yep.
And the Outlaws.
Yep. Okay.
And I saw him play with the Outlaws.
Okay.
And I always liked the way he played. And I'm like, I'm just, he's not doing any of those. He's a little bit older than us considerably. Yeah. And I called him and just reached out and said, look, we got this gig with a Southern rock band. Would you be willing to fill in? And he got back to us and he said, yeah, the band looks good. I'll do it. So the gig was months away. And right away, he's like obsessing about getting the set list. And I thought it was weird. Like, he's like, no, I need, and I'm like, okay, well, here's roughly. He's like, what do you mean roughly? I'm like, I haven't really solidified it yet. And, because I'm operating on all those other cover bands that I've done. This is the way I do things.
Yeah.
He's not used to this. He's used to like, no. Oh. This is the way, like, I need the list.
Whoa.
And I said, okay. So finally I got him the list. And I told him where the audible might be. If we run a little over last night, or this song's either good. And he was good with that. And he was fine.
Yeah.
And then phone conversations, great conversations. Told me lots of stuff about the Outlaws. I got all the good, the bad stuff, because Huey Thomason of the Outlaws, it was one of my favorite guitar players. So he's telling me all this stuff. And we do this gig with him, and he knew the stuff like better than we did. It was just amazing. People ask me, was he the best bass player? And it's like, technically, no, he's not the best bass player I've ever played with. He's the most prepared musician I've ever played with.
Wow.
He was prepared in a way that really hit me. I was like, he barely looked down at his neck. He was all smiles. He was just, it was like this was his band. You know, when we were the, I'm like, I'm in bed. So at the end of the night, I kind of said to him, we talked till 3 a.m. up in New York. And I said, I'm, almost embarrassed. And he said, kind of like, look, I like, this was my entire life. I get it. So I just said, what's your practice routine?
Yeah.
And it changed mine ever since then. He said, I start at the top of the list.
Yeah, right.
Asked for, and I go to the bottom. He goes, I don't care if I've played the 4th song, Outlaws, whatever it is, 1,000 times and I know it. He goes, I play the list.
To do it in context.
I usually do that like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever he said. He goes, then sometimes I take the days in between and nitpick the parts, but I practice the list. I need to know the show. And he goes, when I do that, I play from here. Because if I play from here, I don't like that.
I got you.
And I was like, I get it.
So he's like internalizing the flow of the whole
thing.
Yeah,
and he played it, and he was able to entertain, and he was able to be the rock guy, and he wasn't missing a trick. And I have to say, because I've only been doing it recently, it is a struggle for me to prepare for a show, to run the list. I still try to do it.
I've never done that in my entire life.
I
imagine that.
I didn't until until this guy did. And when I'll tell you something. Amazing. When I do it, the show is always better. So that's one of the biggest challenges I have as a player.
Yeah.
Some people practicing is second nature. It's like working out, but knowing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Knowing that it works.
Yeah.
And it's still a struggle sometimes to do it. Wow. It's like when you're just a little too tired, you don't feel like getting up to take the trash to the end of the drive. It's so easy. Just do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just run the list. And it's like takes every ounce of energy because I'm so conditioned to all the years where I just, I know these songs. I'm just going to play the ones that I don't know well.
Yeah.
But when you play all of them, well, let me ask you this. Do you ever do a gig and the song that you pretty much thought you knew well, you make like a kind of a silly mistake?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's like,
oh yeah, I gotta pay more attention to that.
It's something really small, And you're like, I find if I run the show that doesn't happen.
Yeah. There's
often.
nothing
it's
that
you just done it. It's so
kind of heavy.
Yeah. So that's Jeff Howell.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah. That's heavy.
Yeah, it was neat. He was a fun person to get on the phone and talk with. And
I never actually met him. I would hear stories about him. I knew people that knew him. Sounded like he was a funny guy.
Yeah, comical. He liked to be funny.
I don't know him. I knew someone that would imitate him, and I would go, "Dude, Jeffrey Howell," and he would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never actually heard Jeffrey Howell in person.
Yeah. Yeah. He was what a bass player.
Yeah.
So that kind of. I don't think I missed much of the history. I know I kind of rambled.
Hey,
do you have questions about?
No, I mean we're just about right at the
we're at that
right where we need to be. So what's next?
As far as what music
for you? Yeah, more of the same.
I think. I think so.
How often do you clean that tube?
I don't think I've.
There's a question.
I've cleaned it. Yeah,
Ooh.
You're supposed to, right?
I would imagine so. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you just replace it.
Talk about. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. What do I know?
Something like that. I don't know. But
I'll be honest with you.
I dread using the talk box just because I'm not good at it. It's a skill. Like it's kind of a skill to do it well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's too far back, or it's up front, or I'm biting down, or I'm doing like. So I struggle with that. I struggle with that because I only need it for 2 songs in the set, and I don't do it enough. I feel like I have to sit down and set one up and practice and. Oh, okay, here. Now just make sure it's always.
Do you, what's the word? Do you sanitize it in between performances? You don't care. You're the only one who's.
Pretty much, yeah. So, I mean, I guess if it looks disgusting, maybe I'll clean it or something. I don't think I've ever really thought about it.
Where does one get the talk box tube? You go to Home Depot and it's on a spool?
Probably. Like, I'm kind of new to it, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
But, and it's. And
you ever
it is
play
a little
talk
bit,
box, Dave?
Yeah, it's kind of a nemesis. Like for me, it's a little bit of a nemesis. I don't.
It's only that one song, though, right?
2. It's my life and
right.
living on a prayer. But you asked what's next, and you know, I don't know if I would continue to play with a band like this. I don't know if I would start all over and build a band like this again.
Yeah.
Just at this age, you know, I'm like, you know, the whole get up in the outfit and the wigs and making sure you're doing everything to play some of these, you know, nicer casinos and rooms. And, you know, maybe it's hard to say until you're there. Like part of me always thinks that I'll go back to just more of the acoustic quiet kind of thing and bring out just a limited amount of, you know, bring out an acoustic guitar and strum. Although I think I would miss electric. Like, is there a way to just do electric gigs where it's just 3 or 4 piece and you still get a little bit of that? I don't know.
Well, I was going to say do a Led Zeppelin tribute, but you can't, that already exists.
Yeah.
You do the acoustic set in the middle.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Kind of look like I swallowed Jimmy Page, so I think I would need to.
Hey, whatever. Yeah.
I don't. Jimmy Page was one of my biggest influences.
Yeah.
Biggest influences. You know, cool. Van Halen, I was a big Steve Vai fan.
Yeah.
Big Allman Brothers fan.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those guitar players. Santana. I saw the Santana band 12 times.
Wow.
Huh. Really likes the Santana shows.
That's cool.
Even though like he, you know, like there's other bands or something, you know, I like better, but I like their live show.
Yeah. I've never seen them.
Oh, wow. So,
someone else just said Santana was one of the best shows they ever saw.
I think it was Evan.
Yeah.
I think it was Evan.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
I don't know anything about Santana. Sorry.
Their early shows too. I was seeing them when I was really young. My sisters took me to a show, and so I saw like Alfonso Johnson on bass, and Alex Lingerwood was still singing with them at one point. And then they did this like reunion thing where they got the whole Woodstock crowd back together. So Greg Raleigh was on keys. I saw that show. That was just
Michael Shreve.
Yes, Michael Shreve was on drums. So I saw that whole.
Oh, that's heavy.
Thing. Yeah. Say this one about shows, but this is a quirky thing. My musical friends make fun of me.
Oh boy.
I don't care for shows as much, even some of my favorite bands, because if I saw them when I was younger and they were younger in their prime, I want to leave it at that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Had an opportunity to see Van Halen later in life, and I'm like, no. I don't like to see that much. I don't like to see the guys struggling and saw David Lee Roth, loved it back in the day. Yeah. You know. Yep. So I don't go crazy for shows.
That's all right.
But sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised. Someone will drag me to a show like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, okay, this was better than I thought.
Yeah.
You know, so
cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Yes.
You're getting close. You know what's coming.
I do because I've seen your podcast.
Desert Island album.
I think I've mentioned almost all of them. But just to run through them again. Van Halen 2.
Yeah, hey, there you go.
Hey.
No,
Song remains the same.
Yep.
Stevie Nicks Belladonna.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Frampton Comes Alive.
Yep.
Definitely the Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yep.
Santana Moonflower, and you know, the Outlaws, like, you know, Greatest Hits or something like that. I want to ask you this question. When you say album, do you ever, just albums?
Yeah.
Because, you know, with something like The Song Remains the Same or an Outlaws Greatest Hits, like, don't you kind of make a differentiation between an album that's like an album? Like, I like the Stevie Nicks Belladonna.
Yeah.
It's a great album. Like,
I don't think I ever heard it top to bottom.
Yeah, but I guess that's what I'm getting at, is an album that you can listen to top to bottom versus a collection of the hits. You know, of course I want to hear the Outlaws' greatest hits, but I don't think the Outlaws ever did a collection of an album that holds my attention.
Oh, really?
Like, that's why I picked like Van Halen 2. There might be Van Halen songs I like better, but Van Halen 2 holds my attention from song 1 to the end.
I agree.
So that's kind of where
I recently listened to all of them. Yeah, if you ever, you know, you can do this. I've done this. It takes about close to 3 hours and change, I think. I do this once in a while. Load up all 6. There is no Van Halen after David Lee Roth. I don't care about Sammy Hagar.
Wow, you and I are on the same page.
Load up all 6 albums.
We have to start a club because you get the haters, right? They're like, "What do you?" And I'm like, I love the Sammy stuff because I like the songwriting, but I like that attitude.
I don't care. But do this.
All right.
I loaded up all 6 Van Halen albums, and I walked in one direction.
David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
I like how you didn't even acknowledge that the other.
No. Walk in one direction. Walk until Women and Children First ends. And then turn around and walk back home. Listen to all 6 of them in one shot and watch what happens. And this
could be a good exercise routine. Like, how did you clock the miles?
Like 6 miles.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask, if you clocked the miles.
I was like, I wonder if this is going to work. And I swear to God, when I put my hand on the doorknob to get back in the house, what House of Pain? Is that no? What's the last track on 1984? It was like perfect.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Listen to all 6 of them in one shot.
Well, we'd have to know how fast you were walking.
Yeah, that is true. No, that's true.
Right.
But yeah, I did that the other day. I didn't walk the whole time, but over the course of the day, I listened to all 6 albums in a row in one day, and it's really cool.
In the order that they're into, like 1, 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
My favorite is Women and Children First, and then 2, and then it's a toss up. But
see, if I had to go with an album,
it
would be oh yeah, sure.
I love 2. I like 2. 2 is good.
Help me out. The one with Mean Streets. I can't think of the name.
Fair Warning.
Fair Warning. Yeah. It would be Fair Warning.
Yeah,
I think as a collection of songs.
Fair Warning is a great album.
Yeah, Van Halen 2 and Fair Warning.
Yeah.
Wow. So good I didn't remember the name.
Yeah.
As an album, I like Women and Children First too, but I think I'd start to daydream of with a couple of the tracks.
Yeah. 2's good.
Yeah, 2's just
light up the sky.
Yeah. And that version of You're No Good.
Yeah.
It's just so
killer.
It is. It really
I just read Ted Templeman's book. It was great. It was really good. There was a lot of stuff. It was really good about Van Halen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Desert Island Food. We're running over. We're not going to run out, are we? We're good.
Okay. Food. Yeah. Okay, I'll do it. Well, I was 10 years culinary, so
oh boy,
and my coming from the Italian family, so food would be pasta, but homemade, like roll the sheets, that kind of thing. Big sushi fan.
Hey, why not?
Any kind of seafood, and I like a really good pizza.
Yeah,
really good pizzas.
Who makes your favorite pizza around here?
It's like
it's like
asking
New
me,
Haven
it's
thing.
Like asking me what kind of musical taste, like because I'm in the mood for thin wood-fired crust that's a little burnt, and then sometimes no, I want it really thick.
Yeah,
this and that, real heavy. So it depends on the day. As long as it's good, and as long as they took the time to make the ingredients are all good, I'm a happy guy. So.
Yeah. Show that blew your mind.
Show?
Yeah.
Live
concert
show.
that you were like this
for
do
I have to pick one? No.
I don't
know. For different reasons, because first time I saw Santana, David Lee Roth show, just for the show, like
Steve Vai,
even David Lee Roth, like with the boxing ring and the surfboard, and I'm like, this is just pure. This guy he'll risk his life to entertain you. And then I kind of like some of those up close and personal. Like the first time I saw the Outlaws in the 80s at Riverside Park at the Speedway, because I was right there and their energy level was still up here. They just didn't have the popularity to sell, a stadium or arena, but they were there and they were just high energy. And I was like, okay.
Killer.
So I liked that. And there's probably a few more, but those stick out. Yeah. The first Santana show, first concert was the Kinks, and they were great too.
Hey. Killer.
But, I was just a little too young. Not really proficient enough on the guitar to really dig into it like I was a Santana show.
No, I hear you. All right, I think we better go because I don't want to run out.
No,
that's my
not
fear.
Do that. Yeah. It's been great.
Yeah. Nano Sciucco. Sciucco. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Almost had it. Sorry.
It's all good.
All right, I'm going to press the button.
Press the button.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, where are you playing next? Anywhere that you want to plug right now?
With Raise Your Hands, the Bon Jovi at December 30th at the Wolf Den.
Okay.
In Mohegan Sun.
Okay, check it out, kids.
Check it out.
In between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. All right. Say it again.
Say what?
Sciucco.
Sciucco.
Like why do company. I keep getting it?
Just
Shoe Company.
It's okay.
Nano Sciucco. I'm sorry.
It's not an easy name.
No.
It's fine.
Hey. Sorry. John Peckman Podcast. Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge. Go through one satellite. Start looking left. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. I want more subscribers. I want to see what happens. All right, kids. Hey, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Well, actually, I'll see you again before New Year, but have a nice holiday, everyone. Be safe, be careful. Don't eat too many cookies, all right? All right, we're out. That is all.